So much.
Let's get some analysis. Kellyanne Conway with us. Kellyanne, nice to see you. Good morning. Axios says something intriguing. I don't know if it's right or not, but we can debate the veracity of the suggestion on screen. A Republican civil war is erupting at virtually every level of the party, triggered by an underwhelming midterm performance that threatens to destabilize the ranks of Senate, House, and national GOP leadership. How much of that do you agree with, Kellyanne?
Well, I agree that it's great for the news business. And of course, many people want to divide the Republicans. I think we need unity. That is the word of the day. I'm going to continue to call for unity with the Republicans. You know, Bill and Dana, the Democrats were unified last week, but they were unified on how to divide America and scare them into getting to the polls. We had a much better message. We respected the voters more in talking about their top concerns, inflation, crime, immigration, and the rest. And that reaped benefits in some places. We flipped a lot of blue seats. I think states that Obama won twice, like Florida, Ohio, Iowa, are now solidly Republican up and down the ballot. So there's a lot of pockets of good news. You'll see those chief executives meeting in Orlando today talking about how to govern. We will have the House, maybe even by the end of the day, a majority. But all that aside, we need to unify. And unity means you don't have these on-the-record sniping comments from consultants that represent Mitch McConnell and consultants that represent Rick Scott, all of whom I'm sure raked in millions this year, and we're not going to have control of the Senate. You know what, guys? Pick up the phone, walk across the street and talk to each other. Don't let this spill out into the public, because the voters, Americans, and our democracy deserve better than that. They deserve a party that knows where it stands. And I have one more thing to say. I think the way we unify is not just on strategy, messenger, but it's also on tactics. I think the Democrats have just done a better job investing in what I call the non-sexy parts of politics. Their ballot harvesting, they're banking early votes. Somehow our voters still feel very shy about voting early. Some of them don't trust the machines. Others say, I'm a traditional voter, I go to the polls. Whatever it is, we need to get smart, not just about voter engagement and candidate recruitment, but banking those ballots early. We're taking a chance that Grandpop can get out of the House on Election Day, or that, you know, any eventuality that can affect any of us. We need to start banking those votes early.
That's been echoed from a few folks, but I think that today, when they're meeting in Orlando, that has to be a part of the conversation, or at least going forward in the next 2 years if Republicans hope to compete with Democrats. There's also a potential announcement tonight from President Trump. We have here a tweet from Jen Psaki regarding Biden versus Trump, and she said, just throwing out there, for everyone who is arguing the reason POTUS shouldn't run again is because of his age, you know Trump is 76, right? I don't know if everybody ages at a different rate, so that we can maybe set that aside. Do you think the former president, is going to announce today that he is running for re-election, or for election a second time, even though he would be, you know, only able to serve for 4 years?
Well, that is the plan. He feels that there is a lot of unfinished business, and I think that President Trump agrees with the majority of Americans, Dana, and the majority of Democrats, apparently, in all the polls, that don't think Joe Biden should be there in 2024. If Donald Trump can stick to a binary choice between the economy, energy, border security, Putin, crime in our communities, and all the other major issues, a binary choice between what it was like under President Trump, particularly before COVID, and what it has been like under President Biden, that's a cage match rematch that will have a clear contrast for people, not a referendum, but a real choice, as Joe Biden would say. The other thing is, I think Donald Trump is uniquely positioned to unify the party. People say, oh, he's a divider. They're trying to divide all around him. And Dana, as you and I have discussed many times, donors and pundits don't choose the nominees. The voters do. This will be, as President Trump characterized it to me this morning, it's going to be a long slog. He knows that. If other people want to run, it's a free country. They can do that. I know what you know. Winning the presidency is very hard. But I want Republicans to start governing also. But if President Trump talks about and doesn't really keep doing these digs on social media against some of the other Republicans, because they're all on the same team and they all have the same set of principles and policies. So I want less personality, less about personalities in the coverage, more about policies, even less about politics and more about first principles. And by the way, I think the last point is, I think you'll see President Trump blend a little bit of past president and all these accomplishments that America does miss and did benefit from, and the underdog, underestimated guy from 2016. If he can show that hunger and swagger, not that bloated $1.4 billion boondoggle of a campaign in 2020, but if he's underestimated the arc of Donald Trump's career in life has been to defy the naysayers and critics, but he knows there are significant headwinds building in some places and spaces. People are upset about last week. I think there's a finger pointing is not really a good exercise, and we should take our wins and build on those.
Kellyanne, thank you.
See you.
We'll see where we are and all that stuff tomorrow.